We've talked a good bit about Matt Olson on the show here and the up and down nature of his season. Hasn't had the year defensively that we thought. He's got the good power numbers, hoping for maybe some more runs driven in. Did hit the home run the other night. But in this quirky kind of crazy world that Matt Olson has been in, you would hope a guy like that, when you talk about the Marlins and the Nationals and the Phillies to some extent, right? Phillies are okay, but I don't think the Phillies are great, and their pitching staff isn't all that great. Marlins and Nationals stink. They're the dregs of the universe. And the Mets are obviously outstanding because their two top guys are high caliber, high level. But one of the crazy things that I came across about Matt Olson's splits this year is this. When he plays against teams that have a 500 or better winning percentage, so teams above 500 this year, he's hit 22 points better than against teams below 500. He's got an on base that's 28 points higher, and he's got a slugging percentage that's 27 points better. And his OPS is 54 points better against the really good teams versus the scabs. Now, he's hit more homers against the bad teams, 17 homers to 12, but part of that is just the number of at-bats and plate appearances. But it's crazy because he's played 88 games against teams below 500 and 67 games against teams above 500. But his production, when you look at per game and different things like that, and some of the metrics, is better against the good teams. And you would think that a guy like Olson would thrive and just, tear up teams like the Nationals and the Marlins and things like that. And obviously the Braves, look, one more left with the Nationals. Matt Olson this year is hitting 250, with a 796 OPS. He's got 4 homers and 12 RBI against the Nationals. He's got 18 strikeouts against the Nationals with only 18 hits. He's had as many strikeouts as he's had hits against the Nationals. And then obviously we got the Mets coming up, and then it's the Miami Marlins to finish off the year. This is his numbers against the Marlins this year. He's hitting a $183 with a 692 OPS, 3 homers, 10 RBI. He has 11 hits and 18 strikeouts against the Marlins. Well, the Marlins have a good pitch there. No, the Marlins have a good pitcher. They have one guy who's dominant, okay? They have one guy who's outstanding, Alcantara, who probably will win the Cy Young. But he's got 69 total plate appearances against the Marlins. So he hasn't seen Alcantara 69 times this year. This, again, is one of those things that it's hard to wrap your arms around the season that Matt Olson has had. Look, 30 and 100 is nothing to sneeze at, right? But it doesn't feel like we've seen the best of Matt Olson. And this is not about Freddie Freeman. This is laser focused in on Matt Olson and what his production is. Because, again, he played against bad teams last year. He played in a tougher park to hit in. All of those things, like, he's coming over the National League and it's a different league. All right, well, ask Mookie Betts that. Because when Mookie Betts came from the Red Sox to the Dodgers, he went from one of the best hitters parks in baseball to one of the worst hitters parks in baseball. And all he did was finish second in the MVP voting and lead his team to a World Series. Now, listen, maybe Olson's going to lead this team to another World Series. I'll take it all day long. But I thought it was crazy the fact that he's had much more struggles against the dregs of the universe than he's had against the better teams. Now, it's not like that he's crushing the New York Mets. He's only hitting .213. But if you think about it, he's 30 points better in his batting average against the Mets than he is the Marlins. And he's over 50 points better in his OPS against the Mets than the Marlins. That's good, obviously, for right now, because the Mets are coming up this weekend. And look, while he's not been outstanding against the Mets, but hell, he's better against the Mets than he is the Marlins. We hope that's a good sign. Against the Marlins this year, he's got 3 homers and 10 RBI. Against the Mets this year, in two less plate appearances, he's got 4 homers and 14 RBI. Now, the one thing he's done a lot against the Mets is strike out. He's got 22 strikeouts. You expect that. You face Scherzer, DeGrom, Carrasco, and those guys, you're going to strike out a whole bunch, right? But the fact that he's been more productive against the better teams than he has the worst teams, I don't know what to make of that. Because that's a good sign, I guess, headed toward the playoffs, because guess what you're not going to see in the playoffs? The Marlins, the Pirates, the Nationals, all the dregs of the universe. You're going to see all the top teams. Well, if it's wild card, you'll see the Padres or Phillies or somebody, and then the Dodgers, and then, maybe the Mets, whatever. So at least from headed toward the postseason, and maybe this is, we're looking for reasons and signs to say, okay, here's how the Braves are set up and ready to go and things like that. Maybe Olson performing better against teams over 500 will pay dividends when it comes to be playoff time. Maybe that will pay some dividends this weekend against the Mets. Because obviously it's pretty much do or die against the Mets, right? Because one thing too is, remember, the Braves also don't have the tiebreaker against the Mets. The Braves they probably have to sweep to get the tiebreaker back and everything against the Mets coming up this weekend. And weather's going to play, obviously, a big factor in what's going to happen, especially Friday night. Hopefully they get the game in. And look, I know people are talking about they should relocate. That's ridiculous. That you don't pull these games out of the home team stadium right now. You can do that in June. You don't do that now with a pennant on the line. Okay, sorry, but I mean, if that means you have to wait a couple of days and change up the schedule, then you wait a couple of days, because the hurricane's not going to be here for the next 6 weeks. You wait a few days and then all that. And if it means that the playoff schedule gets moved, then so be it. Because you have to do what's fair in the world of baseball. Sorry. And you don't want to play double headers right now or anything like that. So again, I think baseball will err on the side of caution because of the importance of this series, and hopefully they get it in. Hopefully we don't have to worry about all of this. We'll see what it looks like on Friday. Obviously, all these football games that are being impacted down there in Florida, everybody's changing some things around. South Carolina changed their game and all this, that, and the other. So we'll see what happens with it. But maybe it's a good sign that Matt Olson is 30 points better against the Mets than he is the Marlins. Maybe it's a good sign for playoff baseball that he's performed at a higher level against the teams over 500 than he has the dregs of the universe. I'm looking for anything to tell me Matt Olson's about to turn it up and be the guy that we thought that he would be. All right, we thank you so much for making Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen every day. Make ATL Day 1s your second listen every day. My friends Jarvis Davis and Tanitra Batiste talking about all things in the heart of the city of Atlanta. They are free and available on our YouTube page. Subscribe today. We are now officially over 4,000 subscribers. We thank you greatly for all of that. We are free and available on all your favorite podcast platforms, including Spotify and Odyssey. Download us, leave us a 5-star review. Follow me on my Twitter page at JMSH316. And don't forget, Amazon Fire, Roku, we're there as well. Back with you tomorrow on a Thursday edition. This has been Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.